Greetings, fellow hockey fans of the Dallas Stars. This is Game 11, Episode 11. As every episode starts, we go into the predictions of the last game. And Quinn, you said if Dallas were to come on top, they would win 3-2. If the Sharks were going to come on top, you said 4-3. That was actually a pretty scary prediction right there, because that could have easily been what the score could have been with how the game was going out. I predicted if Dallas were to come on top, it would be 5-3, which is the correct outcome of the game. And if the Sharks were to come on top, it was going to be 3-2. Since that score doesn't matter, we will focus on. Let's start off the game. Were you able to watch the Stars broadcast?
Yeah.
Okay, so you were able to see Ludwig's Halloween costume of the spook.
Yeah, the Hellraiser.
Yeah, the spooky edition of the Dallas Stars in between periods. I thought Ludwig went all out with his costume, and to be fair, I think he's gone all out with costumes like that in the past too. I can't remember what his past costumes were, because this one was just so jarring to see. I did not expect it, but you could expect it from Ludwig. He would be the guy that would start a game like that. It was phenomenal to see. Well, him, and I liked Severin's costume as well, because I mean he looked like he could be a dork, to be honest with you. Like he just looked like he could be just one of those big muscly dorks. I loved it. It was awesome. So this episode is pretty much going to be titled Special Team Edition. This game got off to what we haven't seen this season yet, and it's a real specials team takeover. Like we haven't really seen another team come in and really do what they did with their specials teams. And the fact that the Sharks were 0-16 in their last power plays, and then for them to come in and really do the damage that they did on their power play, really hurt the Stars. I think that's something that really, really needs to be cleaned up. We'll start with the man of the week, pretty much, with Sharp's goal. Now, we had talked about last episode that if Sharp could maintain the momentum that he has, or if this was just like the levees broke, and this is what we're getting as of right now. But I mean, do you think that there's going to be any kind of slowdown with him? I mean, it just seems like everything now is finding his stick, and he's in the positions to really start capitalizing on everything. I mean, do you think that he'll start slowing down at all?
I want to say no, but I really hope not.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, since I mean we did get to see Sharp over the past few seasons when he was in Chicago. We got to see him a lot because the Stars, they played Chicago a lot over the past seasons. But I know he's known for his offensive talent, but right now I thought we were really bringing him in for his veteran leadership, his playoff experience, his 3 Stanley Cups, to really just be a locker room guy. And right now he is really turning into one of the better players on the team, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, I always like to ask, what did you see with the defense early on in the game?
Um, it's the play has been getting a lot better. They're not risking as much, but they're still doing, I feel, too much in the form of stepping into the play, trying to keep it in. But I mean, sometimes that's just how the coach wants it, so that's how you play it.
Yeah, they were talking today. Razor was after the game yesterday that Lindy Ruff's plan with the Stars is to get the defense involved in the offense. I mean, that's part of his Dallas Stars plan, which for the most part has been working. I mean, you can see there are some breakdowns here and there, but as of the most part, we're getting some great production out of our defensive core, and it's refreshing to see. I mean, it's teams that win get depth scoring, and that's what we saw in this game right here.
Oh yeah, especially when you rely too much on your star player. The star players don't always come through. They have off games, so it's refreshing to see that everybody else is stepping into the scoring.
Right. Now, since we talked about Sharp off the bat, I would like to nominate the new Dallas Star that is the new Patrick Sharp of the team, and that would be Fasca. This guy is in all the right places, gets all the right chances, because we saw right there in the third period he had two glorious chances to really pot his first goal, and he just can't get it done. I feel so bad for the kid because he's doing everything right. He's playing really great. I think he was credited for I think on the season he has 6 takeaways and only 2 giveaways. So he's playing up to snuff. He's not making himself a liability, which is great to see. He's always getting himself in those spots, and he's going to eventually get one. You know what? I would not be surprised if he were to come out and have a really big game against Toronto. I think I'm gonna call it here. First goal against Toronto.
Yeah, I kind of have that feeling too, because he always seems to be in the right spot, which is refreshing to see as a rookie. He has the right hockey sense and the hockey IQ to get into the slot, stay open, but he's also not afraid to play his game, which is a physical game.
Yeah. And what did you think of Niemi's game? This is the first time he's played against San Jose, and then we also get to see a familiar face from a past Stars player in Brendan Dillon. He's coming back into Dallas, not his first game against Dallas, but this was a big game for Niemi. How did you think he played?
I feel he could have played a little tighter on the second goal for the shorty breakaway. The first play, it's Pavelski. He's a good player. That's the reason why he's their captain. And he just happens to get the stick at the right place, at the right time.
That tip is a work of art. I was like, wow. That's what scorers do. They know where to put their stick at the right time. But also credit Burns to go for a shot pass instead of just putting it on net. So, I mean, that play is always designed in the locker room. Defensemen love to shoot it kind of a couple of inches off the ice. That way you can get a good tip on it in front of the net. It was a thing of beauty. Speaking of goals and stuff like that, since this is pretty much the special teams edition of the episodes, we got to talk about that infamous play that was such a hot opinion in last episode. The dreaded drop pass in neutral zone, trying to skate in to the offensive zone. You say that it works every time with the first offensive unit. This time it didn't, and it turned into a shorthanded goal. Now, my opinion is that play needs to be scrapped from now on. It relies too much on luck. Too many things have to go right for that play to really, really work. But I also want to talk about that play as we have the first offensive unit out there. Spezza skates into the zone, as usual, and hits Patrick Sharp's skate. Now, that turns into the 2-on-1, but I also want to highlight Sharp as well, is whenever he's back checking, he gives up on the play fully. As soon as he hits that blue line, his feet stop moving and he goes into full coast mode, hoping that Niemi makes that save. Now, if he had kept his feet moving and he had put in full effort, I honestly think Sharp could have been there on that play to help Niemi on that play. I'm not saying it's fully on him, but I'm saying that's something that needs to not happen again. We need to see full effort every time on back skating. And they weren't out there for that long, so I don't really think that he was tired. When you go back and watch the replays, I went back and watched the replay this morning, and I didn't notice it in the game. I was just astounded that he just flat out gives up on that play. It was brutal to watch. But speaking of shorthanded goals, the Stars get themselves a shorthanded goal too. And this is the second in 3 games. First by Cody Eakin in the Anaheim game, and now Demir's coming in with the depth scoring that we talked about earlier in the episode. How'd you like Demir's stepping in on that goal?
I definitely like it. He's definitely bringing a new aspect to the offense that our defense can provide, but he's that two-way defenseman that can play defense physically as well.
No, totally. I've always thought of him as more of a defensive-minded defenseman, but he's really stepping into an offensive role with the Stars this season, and that's where a lot of our depth scoring is going to come from. Because, you can't rely... Klingberg is obviously the most offensive defenseman that we have. He now leads the league with 11 points for defensemen. So that's where our offense is really going to come from, and our defense. But to have the lesser-known players not known for their scoring step up for their scoring, and especially a defenseman on having a shorthanded goal, that's where the Stars will truly succeed in the season. Now, going into the third period, what did you think of the coach's challenge? Now, I think we touched on it a little bit in a past episode, but we haven't really gone in depth on it. Do you think it's good for the game? And if not, what changes would you make?
I think it's a good thing for these two things only, for the offsides on a goal and goalie interference on a goal. I'm actually not surprised that they used it there when you could clearly see that it's on sides.
I figured
he still gets a timeout.
Yeah.
With the amount of time that it took them to figure it out, they still get their timeout.
Right. Now, I honestly thought that it was kind of not a great challenge to challenge the offsides. I figured they were going to challenge more of like a goalie interference with Roussel in the crease. But no, you're right. A lot of people in the game thread yesterday were talking about how there's a lot of low risk, high reward for the coach's challenge right now. Granted, it is new, and that's the prerogative of the coach to use that. I mean, it's just like in the NFL. I mean, you'll sometimes challenge a play just to kind of get an extra timeout, but it doesn't really turn out to be an extra timeout because you're still losing your one timeout. What changes do you think that you would make after seeing that coach's challenge?
I wouldn't make any changes to it.
So you're okay with them essentially getting an extended timeout, even though they're gonna lose their timeout, but because of the length of the coach's challenge, it's an extended timeout. You don't think that there's really should be any changes to the the rule?
It's not saying that the time's always going to be that long.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
That just happened to be one of those circumstances. Like, I mean, what can you do about it?
No, that's not what I was saying. I'm just saying because it turned into an extended timeout, would you make any kind of rule changes to kind of negate that extended time?
No, not really.
Okay. Well, see, some people were saying because it was so blatant that they're only using the challenge for the extended time. Some people were saying, what do you think about assessing a 2-minute minor for delay of game?
Why would you implement a penalty for that? There's no reason to implement a penalty for it.
Well, because some people were like, okay, they're blatantly calling the coach's challenge to get this extended timeout. Some people were thinking to negate them blatantly using the coach's challenge for said extended time, assess a 2-minute game delay for it. I think it's
that's not fair at all.
Yeah, no, I think it's a terrible idea. I don't like it at all. What I was thinking, limit the time the refs have on the call. What do you think about the idea of limiting a coach's challenge to the amount of time of what a timeout usually is? Do you think that could work?
Well, that's not going to work either. Because it's basically like going to review for a high stick. You know, it goes through like so many channels. If the other channel feels like they should have more time on it, then they're going to have more time on it. There's not really anything you can do about it.
No, I agree. It's still a new rule. I'm sure something will happen in the off season about it. I'm not sure what you could do to negate the extended time, but as of right now, I'm happy with the coach's challenge. I didn't mind their coach's challenge. I mean, they did lose their timeout, and in the end, it didn't overturn the call. So, you know, it's a moot point right now. So, I like the coach's challenge. I think it should stay because too many goalie interference calls went uncalled last season, and this is a great way to negate that. So I'm for the coach's challenge, and hopefully it's here to stay. Now, another thing that I would like to talk about, and I've pretty much harped on for the past 2 episodes, is the turnovers. The turnovers. It is now plaguing the Stars. The Stars are, at times, magnificent. They're the best team in hockey. And at times, they look like they're a minor league team that can't hold on to a puck. It's something that needs to be cleaned up, and fast. And hopefully, being away and being on the road will really help get some perspective into really holding on to the puck. Again, they were charged with double-digit turnovers. They had 16 turnovers. Jamie Benn, Jason Spezza led the team yesterday in turnovers. Two of your best players that are known for handling the puck are turning the pucks over. Now, I went and looked at the season stats as of so far in Game 11. And Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, Jason Spezza, in that order, lead the team in turnovers. Jamie Benn, 15. Tyler Seguin at 14. Jason Spezza at 13 turnovers on the season as of right now. And granted, Jamie Benn leads the team in takeaways with 8. But that is a drastic ratio that is not acceptable for our best player on the team. That needs to be turned up. And what do you think needs to happen for them to really start turning this around?
Well, it's the same thing I say every game. Like, settle down with the puck. I know we're a team based off our speed, but you can gradually build more speed if you make the calmer pass, break out right, and, settle down.
Right. And I think it comes into the physicality of the team as well. They were out hit again this has to be like the 6th or 7th game that they were out hit. Granted, the hits are close, 17-14, but I still think other teams are imposing their physicality on the Stars, which is helping the team to turn over. But I was also, in the third period, I did make a note of that I'm seeing the defensemen. I saw it a couple of times with Yoki Paka, that they were making plays. They'd be on the blue line, and they'd be in the offensive zone, but they're passing to the offensemen that are clearly under pressure, and then it turns into a giveaway. I think the defensemen need to be smarter in making their passes to the offensemen in the offensive zone, and I think that could really shore things up. With this game also, we saw another game where Antti Niemi gives up 3 goals. Who starts next game and why?
I feel Niemi's probably gonna get the nod again.
Okay, and why do you think that?
Primarily because we're winning. If they do throw Lettinen in, it's gonna be to start getting him some games, get his confidence back up. But I would say it's probably 60-40 on Niemi starting.
Yeah, I think I honestly think Lettinen is going to get the nod, only because we're playing Detroit. If we were playing Boston, what did I say? Did I say Detroit?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're playing Toronto.
Yeah, they're playing Toronto. They played Detroit in the 3rd game, I believe. I think Lettinen gets the nod, only because we're playing Toronto. Toronto is a weaker team in the league right now, and I think that would be a good game for Lettinen to come in and really kind of try to get back some confidence. Now, I would like to see Niemi come in and kind of, put the wall up against Toronto and really try to shore up his save percentage and his goals against, to really cut down on all the goals that. But a lot of the goals that are going against Niemi aren't really his fault. So
no, it's a lot of positioning, and our penalty kill is killing us on that.
Yeah,
We're not playing tough in front of the net. We're letting people in there, so these deflections are getting off.
Yeah. So I think Niemi, or I think Lettinen starts, but I'd like to see Niemi in net to really start to keep riding the hot goaltender. I think you need to ride a hot goaltender until he goes cold, and then you start the backup, and then you get in the starter after the backup comes in. But I have a feeling that Lettinen comes in, and I think, it's a weaker team, so that's what I feel. So, what rating do you give the Dallas Stars in their afternoon game against the San Jose Sharks?
I'd probably say I'm going to give them a C+ on this, just because they need to really start working on turnovers. It's becoming a problem the past, 3 or 4 games in a row, especially when they're at home.
Yeah.
So that's why I give them a C+.
Like I said last episode, it's hard for me to really give a C rating, even though that's passing. It's hard for me to give a C rating to a team that kind of hangs in there and overall pulls out the win. So I gave him a B-. I think in parentheses I would give a C+, but a B-. I feel, it's good. The offense, we got depth scoring, which is a really big factor in that B-. So I think that helps. Now the Stars play against the Toronto Maple Leafs next game. What predictions do you have for that game?
Well, hopefully Dallas can fix their turnover problem, work on a little bit better positioning and settling down. And if they can do that, I guarantee they will pull out the win. I would say probably 3-1. If Toronto wins, it's going to be because they play a much more physical game than Dallas. So they're going to come in and they're going to assert that right off the bat. They're going to force Dallas to make these turnovers, and it's going to end bad, probably 4-1.
Ooh. Now, last year didn't we lose both games to the Maple Leafs? And I think it was in a couple of weeks span that the Maple Leafs really put it to Dallas. Those were 2 games that Dallas should have won last year, but the Toronto Maple Leafs came out and really gave it to us. But I think, and with the way the Stars are playing right now, I would not be surprised if they lost to the Maple Leafs, just because it's the first game of the road trip. They're coming off a high. Dallas could get too big for their britches, but I'm going to say if Dallas wins, it's going to be in big fashion. And I'm going to say the score is going to be 6-2. Now, if Toronto wins, I'm going to say it's a score of 2-1, because I don't believe in their offense. Their goalie could come out and steal the game. That's the only way Toronto wins, on the back of a goalie, especially if Reimer is in net. He's played pretty good. So that's the predictions. That's the episode. This is the special teams edition of the show. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe, share, do all of that. It helps us out in every way possible. Be sure to tune in next time, and we will see you later.